guys, Jeff from Smoking T-Jets here. I am still having a blast with this dune buggy, and I do like the roof that doesn't have the red stripes on it. Not that I don't like the red stripe roof, I just think that this looks a bunch cleaner. You know what I mean? It's been on my track all week. I've been just getting out here having fun with it. Okay, I did want to get to one of these today, and it probably still will, but I had a viewer request. He wanted a screw post not repaired but replaced, and I thought that this one was a good candidate for that. This is one of the ones that was from Dave's Hobbies that was in the dumpster that was rescued, and I put the black paint there for the carpet and gave it the windshield, the roll bar, the pipes and everything. But the back screw post, right? I'm not going to repair that. I'm going to replace it. But look at the curve, you know, on the back of the trunk where it's there. I'm going to show you how to do that too. And you guys know that I've said this in a lot of the videos. For replacement, I use the styrene tubing. It's made from evergreen, and they come in different sizes, plenty of different sizes. This one a little bit small. They even have a square one, you know. And what's interesting about the hole and the square one here is you don't have to do anything. The regular screws that Aurora used fit perfectly. There's a couple instances where I've had to use a square screw post, and they come out beautifully. Now this is one, and I'm thinking it's 1/4 of an inch. I'm not sure as far as outside diameter, and the inside diameter hole. Boy, I'm trying to get it focused in here. The inside diameter hole, just I don't know what the hell it is. But here's the thing: when you put a screw in the hole here, a regular screw, it doesn't hold. It won't hold. It won't hold whatsoever. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I need 2 hands. Okay, now there's the hole that I haven't done anything with. And a regular screw just goes like right in. There's nothing there. So what you have to do in order to fill the inside of that hole up, let me grab some, is I'll use a glue, and what I've done is I've squirt some glue in here so it fills up the space. After that dries, then I can thread it with a screw, and that holds tight. It holds really, really, really tight. So if you've got the right size outside diameter tubing and the inside doesn't hold the screw, that's the fix. You use the glue. I don't care if you use crazy glue. I don't know. Don't do anything that would melt styrene. Don't use any glue that would melt styrene, okay? Don't do that. So that's how you do it. You gotta fill the inside center, then you have to re-tap it, and then it's gonna hold real good. Okay, I tell you what, right now I've started a little bit, but again, I'm gonna keep working it down, you know, just like you'd work any screw post down, go slow. But whenever I have the glue in there, and it's a flexible glue, I never feel like I'm gonna crack the styrene. It always seems like you can get in there, and I don't wanna say get aggressive with it, but you can thread this a lot easier than you can thread a screw post that has never been tapped before, that's for sure. Let me work on this for a minute. Okay, what do you think there? I think that's gonna be good enough. And again, it is snug. It's in there real good. When you use that flexible glue and you make the threads there on the inside there, it holds good. It's like a tight grip. It really is. I don't know, what is it, about halfway ground down. I'm just taking my time, and I'm just lightly grazing, going over it. I don't want to cut into the body. I just want to remove the screw post. So take your time, guys. Dremels, if you got to take your time with them, because if you do a mistake, it can be costly. Okay, good. What do you think? Ground down pretty good. I might just do a little bit more. I see just where I can get in there just a little bit more, but overall it's out of there. And then we're going to have the screw post in there, and we're going to custom fit it. I'm going to show you how to custom fit it to that curve in there. Okay, it takes a bit of time, but it's worth it. I tell you what, to cut this the length of the screw post that we're replacing, always cut longer. Always cut longer with this. Never cut yourself too short, because it's going to be no fun. So I'm going to cut it longer, and then I'm going to show you how to shape that to the inside of the body. Okay, I've been shaping it and grinding it. I got a bit of a curve there. I still have to do a little bit more, but as fat as the screw post is, the back here, the very back of the screw post is hitting against the body. And as we know, the back screw posts of the hot rods are molded into the body. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to shave off some of this screw post in the back there. So just to make it a little bit thinner so it fits against the body properly. Been using the Dremel, taking my time, and I think I got it where I want it. I've been dry fitting, but what I want to do now is I want to, pardon me, dry fit it, but I want to put the front guide pin, or the front guide pin. I want to put that in and just see how it sets on the body when everything's together. Then I'm going to glue up the back screw post to the body if everything is satisfactory. Boy, that thing came out good. I mean, it looks good. I checked the stance of the wheel, the height of the wheel wells and everything. They look like they're spot on to me. It is track time, guys. Let's get on the track. That was one thing I was concerned about, is the screw post going to be too high. Look at the wheels, look at the wheel stance, look at the wheel wells. But then, oh, it looks good. I just thought, well, compare it against other ones, you know, just compare it against other ones. Okay, so I think, one, it looks good. Two, it's holding absolutely wonderful. I haven't even glued it in place. So let me go ahead and take the chassis out, put a drop of glue on that back screw post, and we are going to call it done. Tell you what, I set this aside while the glue's drying. I don't want to fuss with it. I'm not going to touch it or mess with it. Hey, let's just check it to see if it's dry. No, I'm going to just let it be. I did want to get to one of these, and I'm thinking about the orange truck. Reason being, it's the only thing, I'm going to give it a bath. I'm going to wash up. But the only thing is the front, they do turn, but boy, that's not easy. Back ones turn like they should, you know? They turn like they should. But these, why would that happen? Yeah, and barely get something out of it. So I'm gonna see what's going on with the chassis and get this cleaned up. Let me go ahead and get the body off the chassis. I think I know what's going on with the front axle, but first, I got to get this cleaned out. It just looks like it's been due for a bath. I'm going to take it to the sink, use some warm water, and I've got a very, very soft toothbrush, and whatever type of Palmolive or whatever soap my wife has there is what I use. But I just want to get this cleaned up. Probably going to do some VRP with it. I know it looks really good right now, but just for fun, we're going to probably do some VRP. Just getting back from the sink there, came out real good. The bottom needed it more than the top did, but I did the whole thing. I'm gonna go ahead and dry it, get it all unwet. Pretty good, I got it pretty much dry. Now one thing I always tell you guys, when you wash these bodies, always wick out the screw post. There is a workaround. If you put the screws back in and you wash it and no water gets down on the screw post, you're good. But here's a caution. If you try this technique, and there's a crack in the screw post, take the screw out and wick it out. Take it out and wick it out. I'm going to set this aside, let it dry a little bit further, and before I get into the front axle, and I think I know what's going on, I do want to take it apart and just see if it needs a cleaning. Very quickly, what I discovered when I was taking the body off, and look at the back axle and the hubs there, right? Plenty of room. There's hardly any room for the front axle to move. The hubs are hitting the body. That's what I think is going on. All right, let me do this. I want to tear it apart and see if it needs just an oiling or just a cleaning. Okay, well, I got it apart. Being such a nice slimline chassis, I'm going to take the Brasso to it, everything that needs to be coated with the Brasso. And I might replace, because they do look worn, I've got some replacement brushes for the slimline. So everything that I think should go into the Brasso, I'm going to do that next, put it in the cup, get everything covered. There we go, got everything into the Brasso cup there, and I'm just going to slather everything with Brasso and make sure that all the parts, even the brush springs, I'm going to make sure to get it because you want those good and clean. The bottom of the chassis, everything should be covered. Guys, I know I've heard a lot of different methods of doing this. I've heard ultrasound gets it clean. I've heard vinegar. I'm never going to use vinegar. I can't stand vinegar. I've heard that a bunch. Tarnex works real good. But if you have verdigris, you know, the green, blue, algae looking stuff, corrosion on there, Tarnex doesn't seem to get that off. Brasso does. Brasso does. So let me go and slather everything up. And it's literally about, I don't know, 15 minutes, and then it should be done. Everything is covered with the Brasso the way I wanted it, just for fun, since that's got to sit in there for a bit. Let's go and get the VRP. That's vinyl rubber plastic made by the chemical guys. And we'll go ahead and splooge that on and give it a nice protective coat. All right, guys, here it is. This is the vinyl rubber plastic, again, made by the chemical guys. I'm going to literally just use about a drop, maybe 2 drops, to cover the whole body there. You really don't need much. 10-15 minutes, then wipe it off. And I've got a little towel here that I wipe it in with. You know, I just use the corner of the towel and I get it in there. I don't like getting a bunch of the stuff, any chemicals. I don't like getting a bunch of it on my skin. So let me go ahead and shake this up some more, and then I'm going to splooge just a couple of drops on there. Okay, I've got the VRP splooge on there, and again, just a few minutes, let it dry, and then you can go and wipe it off and shirt buff it wherever, however else you want to get it nice and shiny. But again, just let it sit on there. One caution, I got to give this to you. A couple of my viewers said, hey, listen, if you have like a car that has accents, like a lot of the AFX cars do, not so much the T-Jets, they said that the VRP can take some of the paint off. So be very, very careful. I always want to give you a caution whenever I use this stuff. All right, I'm going to give this a few more minutes. Oh, now you see the blue there on the, what is it, the shoes? Yeah, that's getting the corrosion off. That's already working. Okay, very good. Going to give both of them a few more minutes, then we'll get everything cleaned up, put back together. Just got in from the sink, washing everything up there, getting ready to dry it off a little bit. But can you see how, boy, look how nice the shoes came out already. Wow, very good. All right, let me dry this stuff off, and I'm also going to get the VRP off of the orange Ford there. Just a sec. Looks good sitting there. Got the VRP off. Looks really good sitting there. I'm going to take the wire Dremel and clean everything off. That's the copper. Make sure it's all good and clean before we do any reassembly. I'm going to hit the top plate there, both the shoes, the engine clamp, both sides of the chassis there, the brush springs on the side, and the com plate. I got to get the com plate. Boy, I tell you what, the bottom com plate was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. Everything looks good enough, and I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but I did get some new replacement brushes there. The other ones, they look a little thin. They look a little thin. So let me get this thing put back together, and you guys know I always say this, oil as you put back together. Just for fun, I started to put it back together, and I want to make sure that the axles are placed properly, and they both are. Look at that. That's what you want. That's what you want. It wouldn't have done that. It rolls so smooth and free right now. I got to oil the axles, but when the front ones were not rolling, it's slowing the whole chassis down. You know what? Oiled up and good to go. I'm going to put the body on the chassis now. It's time, guys. It's time. We're going to see if it goes around track any better. Oh, one thing. Putting the hubs and the wheels back on the axle there. The back, I forget if it's the left or the right, or the driver's or the passenger. One of them's kind of loose. I'm going to replace the back tires, and then I'll go ahead and put the chassis on the body. I just discovered I don't have any replacement tires. I had to take these from the Doom bike. I've got to order some more. Let's go ahead and look at see what it looks like on these short track just for fun. And here we go. Oh boy. Wow. If anybody says a slimline chassis isn't as fast as a T-Jet chassis, sadly mistaken. I think they were designed to be a little bit faster, if I'm not wrong. If I'm not wrong, I think that these were designed to be faster. Now, one thing that'll slow, even if it's brand new, and I've said this many times, a lot of guys don't know it. If it's even a brand new slimline chassis, you see the crown gear, where the crown gear meets the inside of the chassis there? Sometimes that crown gear will rub against it because it was either manufactured too big or something. And if you skinny off the back of the crown gear, it'll make the tires go faster, roll easier. You know, so boy, it just takes right off. That takes right off. That's like 100% better. And this is the sock car that my wife got me for my birthday. She got me other stuff, but this is what she got. I love the orange. The orange looks so good against the track. You know, yellow does, orange does. I love the contrast. I love the contrast. Fantastic. Oh, don't you dare think I'm going to forget about this one. It's time. It's definitely time. And wow. That looks so good on the truck. And I said it before, I said in a number of videos, thank goodness to Dave's Hobbies for allowing us to finally get these things out of the glass case and onto the track. It's one thing to look at them. Yeah, I get it. These things are made to be played with. And on a very quick note, there was Daniel, I don't know what the hell his name was. He commented to me, he couldn't believe that I was taking the ones that are in dumpsters, and actually putting them on the track. I was floored. That's what they were meant for. His attitude was, oh, well, just look at them, see what Aurora make. I know a lot of guys like to do that, but once I've looked at it, okay, anybody else want to look at it? Okay, good. Anybody else want to look at it? No, these things belong on the track. That's my attitude. So he was all upset that I took something that was an artifact and made it runnable. Unreal. Absolutely unreal. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video this weekend. I got it done on Saturday instead of Sunday. That's good. That's very good. And I always say this because I mean it. Let me know if you need anything, guys. I don't care if you want to know what glue, what kind of grit sandpaper, the styrene. Let me know, and I will take care of it. I'm here for you guys. All right, enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. See ya.